Hello everyone, Eber here with HardwareCanucks and welcome back to another video. Computex is over. It's over. And I'm slowly recovering from jet lag plus catching up with some sleep. But regardless of that, today we're going to be talking about this, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Now, before we move on, I need to quickly mention that this is by no means a full dedicated review video because I'm sure you've watched countless of them online. I'll be focusing this video on the things I liked about this device and the things I didn't like because I've spent nearly a month using this as my daily driver. So here are my thoughts. But first, a message from our sponsor.
The Gram Spectrum keyboard by theSamsung comes with a new mechanical agile switch with low-profile keycaps with super fast response and shorter actuation distance, plus all the customization included with RGB lighting and macros for a premium user.
Alright, let's address something that anyone would think of when taking a glance at the S8. It's just beautiful. Samsung has definitely brought their A game to the table after the Note 7 recall, and they've played it safe this time, yet pushing the limits of a modern smartphone design. I've got the midnight black variant here, and I've got to admit, everything from the curved edges to the smooth metal body or unibody construction screams quality. It's a marvelous piece of engineering that one would have dreamed for years ago. That being said, one of the drawbacks to this design is the implementation of Gorilla Glass 5 at the back, as it quickly picks up grease and fingerprints, which makes it almost uncomfortable to use the phone at times. Plus, it also gets slippery. Thankfully, I haven't dropped this yet because that would have been quite the disaster, and obviously a quick fix to this would be to apply a skin of some sort. But like I mentioned in my G6 review video, I would appreciate if companies move towards matte finishes in the future because I prefer those over glass backs. The screen covers 80% of the body, yielding thinner bezels at the top and bottom, while the curved edges on the sides make it impossible to distinguish it from the body alone. Here's a shot of it sitting next to the 6P. Yeah, I really can't go back to this phone because I'm so used to the Samsung's beautiful Infinity Edge display, and it has won me over with these thin bezels. In one way, you have a lot of vertical real estate to work with when multitasking, plus watching native 21:9 content looks amazing. And that brings me to my next point, the display. Now remember, I'm rocking the S8 Plus, which sports a whopping 6.2-inch QHD Plus AMOLED display, and given this panel's technology, colors are super vibrant with excellent contrast ratio and deeper blacks that I'm always a fan of. Samsung does include options for different color profiles. I ended up using the basic mode as the colors seemed more neutral to my eyes. And like I mentioned earlier, watching content on the screen was a pleasing experience, except for one annoying factor, the curved edges. Now, I'm completely aware that I'm contradicting myself here because I just mentioned how beautiful this phone looks like with these curved edges, especially when you're swiping things from left to right. It's a seamless transition and it works great. But when you're watching content, the edges get reflective and the content starts to distort a little bit, and I didn't like that. The G6, for example, has a flatter display without any curves, so distortion was non-existent and I prefer that over the S8 screen. Sorry, Samsung. Let's also not forget to talk about Bixby because it's Samsung's way of saying, let's make a rip-off version of Google Now, and that didn't turn out that great. You see, I'm heavily invested into the Google ecosystem and I do use Google Now on Android phones to check weather and updates, but Bixby is just so annoying. It certainly needs a lot of work done and it's nowhere close to Google Now, at least until the time of making this video. But you know what's even worse? Assigning a physical button to activate the damn thing. There's no way to reassign that button to launch another app, plus you can't disable it through the settings. It's also at an odd location right beside the volume rockers, so you can imagine the amount of times I've accidentally triggered this feature. There are third-party paid apps that can disable this feature, but implementing this physical button was a big mistake from Samsung in the first place. My second biggest gripe about the S8 Plus is the location of the fingerprint reader. It's right beside the camera and that made it difficult for my fingers to reach, and it's also not that accurate compared to the 6P and the G6. I've run into a lot of times where the phone wouldn't recognize my finger unless I place it at a certain position. It was really a frustrating experience, and I'm aware of other biometric authentications like face recognition that's a hit or miss, and iris scanner that kind of works when I have my glasses on. I appreciate Samsung for including these features, but I'm not sold on them completely. You know what else I do like about the S8 Plus? It's waterproof. To be more specific, it's certified with the IP68 water and dust resistant rating, and I've taken advantage of that feature a lot of times when traveling. gotta live that germ-free life, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not gonna go in depth into software experience because there's a lot of Samsung related features that I honestly didn't care about. You know me, I love a cleaner and simpler user experience. So just like any other Android phones, I installed Nova, my preferred icon pack, and called it a day. That's the beauty with Android because the user has full control of the software and they can customize the UI to fit their style. Battery life on the S8 Plus was great. Samsung has packed a 3500 mAh unit inside this that gets me roughly around 6 hours of screen on time. The phone charges via Type-C and it supports Quick Charge 2.0. My usage normally consisted of checking Twitter, Instagram, taking photos, browsing the web, and catching up on a few TV shows. House of Cards Season 5 is out, by the way, and I completely binge-watched the entire season on my flight back to Toronto. But what's interesting is that I had 50% remaining when I landed. Albeit the phone was on airplane mode, but still, very impressive. Remember, turning the always on display option will shorten the screen on usage, so be aware of that. And the last thing to cover here is the camera, and it's nothing short of spectacular. It's a 12 megapixel sensor with an aperture stop of f1.7. Pictures look fabulous on this thing, and the samples you're seeing now were shot in auto mode without any adjustments to ISO, white balance, etc. Autofocus, on the other hand, is ridiculously fast. In fact, it is one of the fastest I've come across on an Android device after the S7. Let me know what you think about these samples. So in conclusion, I really have mixed feelings about the Galaxy S8 Plus because, for one, this is the best Android smartphone that Samsung has ever created because it's beautiful, especially with these curved edges, and the design is a testament to modern smartphone engineering. The camera is outstanding. I'm sure you've seen that through the samples, but it's not a perfect device, at least for me personally, because the Fingerprint Reader is at an odd location. The curved screen can get a little distracting when you're watching content. The speakers, or I miss front-facing speakers, and the bottom-facing ones on these are not that great. I honestly also don't get the point or the motive behind Bixby, especially assigning a physical button to activate that feature is pointless in my opinion. Imagine the R&D that went into creating it. You also can't forget the fact that this is a Samsung device and the software is known for slowing down over time. I guess I'll have to update you on that later on. Well, there you have it. My thoughts on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. What do you guys think about this device? Is this the dream smartphone that you've been looking forward to? And for those of you out there who are S8 or S8 Plus owners, how are you liking it so far? Let us know in the comments down below. I'm Eber with HardwareCanucks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.